Joining us right now, Representative Tom Price, Republican of Georgia, who wrote a very important op-ed about the IRS and their tactics in trying to intimidate and silence critics of the president. Congressman Price, first, thanks for joining us. And I don't understand where you're coming from here. I was told that this is a phony crisis, a phony scandal, and the IRS in no way was doing anything against the president's critics. In fact, the president said that. Is he wrong?
Good morning. Good morning. Well, good to be with you again. And I guess he's not any more wrong than he was when he said you could keep your health care plan if you liked it. So, look, the IRS...
Drop the mic and walk away. That was good. Yeah.
The IRS shouldn't be used for political purposes. Virtually everybody agrees with that. And these rules, it's not like these rules were put in place, a year or two ago. The C4 rule for nonprofits has been in place since 1959. So the changes that the administration wants are purely political. There's no doubt about it. We're continuing to investigate it so that we can prove that.
Talk about these changes here just so we can inform our listeners if they're not up to speed.
Well, the president so far what has happened with these nonprofits is that they could do political activity, but as long as it's not a majority of their activity. Now, what activity are we talking about? It's voter education, it's voter guides, it's advocacy, it's town hall meetings. And the administration is now saying, no, the C4s, 501c4s can't do that, and therefore they will be disallowed from being a C4, a nonprofit entity. They'll have to pay taxes or they'll have to disclose their donors. Now, it may be appropriate to change those kinds of things, but it's Congress's role to do that, not the administration making up laws.
What a thought.
Oh, you're so quaint when you talk about the legislative
that's
branch.
Just old-fashioned thinking, Congressman.
It is old-fashioned. It just is the Constitution, Article 1.
All right. Now, we had Christine O'Donnell on yesterday, and she talked about an incident that occurred when she announced that she was going to run for the U.S. Senate. And within hours, somebody accessed her file. And then within a couple hours after that, all of these stories started showing up that looked like it might have been gleaned from her tax information. They turned out to be completely wrong, but it really hurt her. This appeared to be a situation where the IRS was used for political purposes. One wonders, what Lois Lerner knew about this, and I read that you guys are calling her back.
We are, and hopefully she'll testify this time instead of take the fifth. But this goes broader than that. Sarah Hall Ingram, who's the individual who was at the IRS at the time, is now the person who's at the IRS in charge of Obamacare, enforcement of Obamacare. So I mean, they have salted all across the IRS political people. And remember, this is an organization, the Internal Revenue Service, that strikes fear into the hearts of all Americans when they get contacted by them, and by and large has never been used for political purposes. It's kind of stepped out of bounds from time to time, but this is way over the line, and the American people aren't going to tolerate it.
All right. Well, Lois Lerner now apparently is going to be brought in front of your committee, correct?
Yes, and again, we trust that she will testify this time as opposed to
well, can you compel that?
You can't force anybody to say what they don't want to say.
Well, I mean, but she came in and pleaded the fifth one time before.
Yes,
but she made a statement, and everybody said, "Yeah, you can't do that," right?
No, look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm a doctor, so I don't know the law of it. But I do know that once you open your mouth and opine as to something and put forward a position, you have abrogated your opportunity to be able to plead, take the Fifth Amendment.
And by the way, you being a doctor, not a lawyer, that's why you make sense when we talk to you about these issues, Dr. Price, so I appreciate that. Let's swing over to Obamacare real fast. Someone who doesn't make much sense is Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius. Yesterday, she told Huffington Post this about the number of enrollees they expect.
7 million was not the administration. That was a CBO, Congressional Budget Office prediction when the bill was first signed. I'm not quite sure where they even got their numbers.
Yeah, she doesn't even know where they got that number. However, in November of 2013, she said this to NBC Nightly News.
What does success look like?
Well, I think success looks like at least 7 million people having signed up by the end of March.
Maybe that's where they got that number.
I don't know.
Representative Price, first of all, how many are we going to get signed up? Are we getting good numbers from the administration? And can they even tell us of the people who signed up if they're even paying for their health insurance?
No, the numbers that we're getting are in the range of 4 to 5 million people who have signed up. But remember, sign-ups also include those folks who were eligible for Medicaid, hadn't signed up for Medicaid before, and have simply signed up now because there are folks out there helping them sign up, which is something that we thought should be done years and years ago. So these aren't. Look, the CBO last week said that the equivalent of 2.5 million jobs would be lost with Obamacare. About 6 million folks have lost their health coverage. They liked what they had, but lo and behold, they couldn't keep it. And just yesterday or the day before, a report came out saying that 11 million individuals would have their premiums significantly increased because of Obamacare. This is a law that isn't working for real people, and it's harming real people from a health care standpoint and from an economic standpoint.
Hold on, I just want to focus on something here. You said 6 million people will have lost their insurance because of the changes affected through Obamacare.
Already have
lost. That's 6 million. And we're going to have between 5 and 6 million signing up for Obamacare, but half of those are Medicare or Medicaid expansions. So that means 3 million have signed up for private insurance through Obamacare. Are you telling me that more people will have lost their insurance than have gained insurance because of the Affordable Care Act?
Yes, that's the case right now. More people have lost their health coverage than have gained health coverage, and that's clearly from the numbers that we get from the administration. And these aren't even complete numbers because we don't know who has already paid for their premium. We know that they have said that they wanted insurance, but we don't know that they've signed that contract.
Well, hold it. That wasn't the purpose of this law. I'm joking, but they have been dismantling it piece by piece because it wasn't working. But overall, they stand by the original concept.
Well, they do, but the fact is that it doesn't work. Remember, this law really wasn't about getting people covered. It was about controlling the health care industry and the market in this country. The people who believe that government can make better decisions for you and your family than you can. And we simply don't believe that's the case. We believe that patients and families and doctors ought to be in charge of medical decisions, not Washington, D.C.
Hey, I'm just fishing here, but I know that John Boehner spent quite a bit of time with the president yesterday. Has anything filtered down to you about how those conversations went?
No, we've got a meeting this morning with our conference, and we may get a report at that point, but the president was very, I thought, generous to meet with the speaker for the first time in over a year. That was very kind of him.
Yeah, all right. Thanks a lot.
Not that he needs the legislation.
No, because
he's got his pen and
phone.
He's got a pen and a phone. He doesn't really need you guys.
Hey, Representative Tom Price, Republican of Georgia, always great to have you. And by the way, after your meeting and you find out how the meeting, could you just drop us a line, send us an email? You know how to reach us.
Hey, we'll do so.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
Congressman Price.